Welcome to Patty's Aquatics and welcome to my fish room. So, have you ever had any plant or plants that really are just a nuisance to you? Thorn in your side, you can't stand maintaining them or keeping up with them, no matter how good of beneficial factors they may provide for your aquariums? Well, for me, there's two of them. There's that dreaded duckweed, I'm sure a lot of us hate. And then there's one that might surprise you, and that is guppy grass. Guppy grass, I can't stand it, but in this video, what I want to do is I'm going to go over really my love and hate relationship with these two plants. I'm going to show you some of the things that I do love about them, but I'm really going to show you a heck of a lot more of the reasons why I can't stand them, and they are a thorn in my side. You know that saying, the gift that keeps on giving? Well, unfortunately, that rings true with these two plants. I really wish they'd stop giving so much. So let's hit that open and get started. Well, as we take a quick glance at a few of my tanks down here in the fish room, you can see guppy grass or duckweed or both really have taken hold in a lot of these aquariums. But to start this video off, let's talk about that most dreaded plant, I think, of anyone. If you would ask anyone online, ever a hobbyist, what's your plant you hate the most you've ever kept? I think duckweed would probably be number one. Um, what are some good things about it? Well, they do a few things. Now, I did make a video on this. It was one of my first videos that ever took off a couple of years ago called Duckweed, Does It Suck or Not Suck? I kind of went over the pros and cons of duckweed in kind of a fun way. And that's sort of what I'm going to do today. But really, what's great about duckweed? What is good about duckweed? Well, I'll say this. It pulls a heck of a lot of nutrients out of the water column. It definitely helps with that, especially if you have an overstocked tank or maybe one that doesn't have a lot of plant load in it. It'll really help you maintain that balance within your aquarium by doing a lot of that work for you. Now, I did use it a lot when I first started up dirty tanks when I used to have them. I would put them in there, and it really helped in those beginning months to really help maintain that balance because there was such an overload of nutrients within the water column. But these aren't dirted, but they still were helping because I just changed these all over a few months back, and I'm unbalanced, obviously, but that duckweed is really helping maintain that balance. But look at it. It's annoying. It's a big, thick carpet of plants at the surface of the water, which, in theory looks kind of cool, but what are the bad things about it? Why is that not good? Well, you think about it. Now, this one has flow in the tank. So I have this wave maker and that sponge filter pushing all that. So that's why it's bunching up in the corner. But what if there's not a lot of flow, like this tank over here, which I need to add more flow to it. But you see that whole carpet of it resting at the surface. So what's that going to do? Well, that's going to block the light out more and more for the plants underneath. The plants aren't going to be able to grow as well eventually if that gets so thick and it blocks the light out. Now, I've had that happen to me numerous times, especially in this tank here. This is my first dirty tank. The guppy grass, or the duckweed would get so thick in there that it would block the light out, and all my dwarf sage in there would all start to die off some because it wasn't getting enough light. It was frustrating. I'd have to clean it all out, and then I'd have to wait a few weeks for those plants to start to kind of kick back and start growing back again. I've gotten duckweed for the most part out of this tank. There's a little bit in there, which I got to start getting at it again, or it's going to take over again. And that's the other thing. This stuff takes over like a madman. You need to clean it and clean it and clean it and keep pulling it out of there if you want it out of there, or it will show back up like this within weeks. It multiplies and multiplies. So other bad things about it. Clean up. Like we're just talking about. You know how hard it is to clean this stuff up? Here, I got a little net. Hang on. What I do, I know there's multiple ways to get rid of duckweed and clean it up. Some people use, I've heard, combs and stuff like that. I just use a little net. Um, I just go through and start netting it up and look at the mess. Now, I got a big clump out of there, get me wrong, but now we have a snowing effect of duckweed within our aquarium. Now, if you have goldfish or fish that eat duckweed, that's perfect. I used to have goldfish and I used to have a koi, and I would feed all my duckweed to those fish, but I don't have them no more. These rainbow shiners apparently think it's food, so they're they're enjoying the playtime, but it's a nuisance. Not only that, you stick your hand in one of these tanks, like here. This is my White Cloud minnow tank, completely over the surface. Yeah, I want to do some work. Now look it. Your hand, your arms are always full of duckweed, and it is a pain in the butt. You get duckweed over your nets, you get duckweed over your equipment. It is probably one of the big nuisance plants I've ever had. And the biggest thing is, I never brought it into my fish room on purpose. I had bought some redroot floaters a while back, and they hitchhiked in and they multiplied and got into every single one of my tanks. So this is where we're at today. So how do we get rid of it? You have to be diligent. You have to get in there and keep working at getting it out of there every day and get every last piece of morsel of those plants out of there, or it's going to come right back to this, because that's what I did when I changed all these tanks over. I got rid of all of it, and a little piece or two stuck around, and I didn't do my due diligence of staying on top of it, and this is what happened. So that is duckweed. That's why I hate duckweed. That's why I can't stand it. As much as I like it for helping to balance aquariums, it just drives me nuts. But the other plant we wanted to talk about, like I said, is guppy grass. That one might surprise you, but I hate guppy grass more than I hate duckweed, if you want to be completely honest. Now, I know there's probably going to be people that are probably saying, well, hey, Patty, I like guppy grass. What are you talking about? Guppy grass is cool. It's a nice plant. I get what you're saying, and that's what I thought too. This is another plant that I never brought into my fish room. Well, I sort of did. I had bought some fish. It was actually my platies that are up there. It came with a little strand of it in the bag, and I put it in that tank, and it overtook that tank like terribly. If I have some footage, I'll overlay it here. It got so thick you couldn't see nothing, and it destroyed all the other plants underneath. Similar to what duckweed does when it cuts out the light at the top of the surface, this plant will overtake an entire a tank, and suck the light out and just overtake everything, and all the other plants can kind of struggle. That's what I have happening in this tank right now. Heck, I have guppy grass in a lot of my tanks, so I'll show you in a second. But this one, I have Luigi in here, and it grows great, but then this guppy grass fills in and it just overtakes everything. I will pull it out. I'm never going to say all of it. And within a couple of weeks, it comes back again. So do you want me to show you exactly why I hate guppy grass so much? Well, let's do that. You see, in theory, you would think this is a lot easier to clean up than duckweed. Duckweed's got all the little particles on the water that you got to consistently try to get every single morsel, whatever. But, guppy grass is really no different. You take it, I'll try to shoot this, and grab a strand. You see this, it has roots, okay? What it does is you have a piece, it'll start growing, it starts to root down, and it'll grab hold of an object or the substrate, and then it holds in and starts growing like that. Cool in theory, like I said, right? But you try pulling some of this stuff out, and let me see here. They break up into little pieces. If you don't get every little single piece like this, there'll be like hundreds of little tiny pieces. If you don't get every single one, that little piece is going to grow and grow and grow and start creating this mess right over again. So it's nonstop. So I will have to continuously pull these guppy grass pieces out of these tanks just to try to not let it overtake the tanks again. And that's where I'm at battling with this one right now. Now, I have a similar issue with this one. I don't see any in here right currently because I just did pull it out the other day, but there are pieces in the back, and if I let it go, it starts to overtake again, and I got to keep pulling it out. Like there's one up in the middle strand up there. What's going to happen is it's going to come loose, start the root down, and it's going to multiply. There's some within the dorsad right there too. If I don't pull all that stuff out of there, it takes over. And that's where I'm at with this tank, especially. Like I said, it's just so frustrating. As much as it looks like it fills the stuff in a little bit and it gives a little bit of greenery, which is kind of cool, but it's such a nuisance to having to continuously pull it out of there. But on the flip side, what are some good things about guppy grass? Well, I love it for my fry tanks. I have some in my CPD grow tank here with the duckweed. I use both of them for my fry tank. So that is like probably the biggest beneficial factor for me is I use them in order to help pull the nutrients out of the water because I'm feeding these tanks 3 times a day. So I have some in there and I have some in my rice fish grow out tank, tote here as well. I have a clump of guppy grass and then the duckweed growing on the top. So those are the areas that I love the 2 plants for fry setup tanks and things of that nature. But when I'm trying to have a tank that looks really nice, this stuff is just drives me crazy. If you want that forest look, absolutely cool. If you want a pristine looking cool plant with all your plants sticking out and stuff like that, I can't stand it because it overtakes it. So I hate guppy grass because of that, and I hate it more than I hate duckweed, if you want me to be completely honest about all this, because it just drives me nuts trying to clean all this up. So yes, in the end, duckweed and guppy grass can be very beneficial when it comes to helping balance your aquariums because they pull so many nutrients out of your water column. But beyond that, in my opinion, really, they cut out the light. They can make other plants suffer, and they are just a pain in the arse to be able to clean up and maintain. So I hope you enjoyed that video about my love and hate relationship with guppy grass and duckweed. If there's any plants that you can't stand, they're a nuisance to you, a thorn in your side, please share it in the comments and let's get a chain of rants together. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please consider hitting that subscribe button. It'd be greatly appreciated. But in the meantime, I'm going to get back to cleaning my stupid duckweed out of my tanks and guppy grass. So hope to see you again next time. Stupid duckweed everywhere. Dumb duckweed. Yeah, duckweed is a perfect plant for your tank.